Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight, Nashville, Season 16, Episode 5. So today, this episode, they were on their honeymoon. I think it's day 2. Shaq and Kirsten came, but that wasn't the focus initially. They started off with Gina and Clint. I think they were getting ready for their excursion. And then they show us Chris and Nicole. And one thing I've noticed about this couple is just every conversation they have is so intense. And again, I think they're heading down the right path for some people who are supposed to be, getting married to a stranger, right? Like, I think they're doing it right. I think you should know the best about me, the worst about me, the most intense things. So when it comes time to make a decision, it's like I'm making a decision knowing the worst things about you, and I'm also making this decision knowing the best things about you. They only have 8 weeks, so it's crazy that these people aren't like every couple isn't doing this. I'm actually surprised by how deep Chris and Nicole are. And I don't know if that's a production issue, like they're only showing Chris and Nicole having these really deep conversations and everyone else is having them, but they're just not showing them. But it definitely is something I like to see. And I'm already liking that about them. Then we see Jasmine and Eris talking over breakfast. Once again, she gets that swine, which I have no problem with. I just don't eat it. But it seems like Eris seems to have a little problem with it because it's like, yeah, it's a joke, but jokes are sometimes rooted in truth, and he keeps making it. It wasn't like a one-time thing. But yeah, so they're talking, and Eris talks about how like he usually gives up on relationships easy, and he's the first one to back out. But what's interesting is Jasmine said she is that person too. Like, I was surprised because she seems more like the type that's like, I'ma see it through. Like, I'ma stick with you even if you're not good because I just want to be with you, or I love you, or I like you. But it was interesting to know that she's like, no, I'm the one that ends relationships too, meaning that she has a boundary. And I think that's going to be important for her relationship with Eris, to be able to uphold that boundary that she holds with other people. So I kind of was interested, I was kind of like, okay, this girl's not going to be the pushover that I thought she was going to be. Shaq and Kirsten, like I said, they showed up. They immediately hit the ground running. Like, I was, okay, so one, I was surprised that Kirsten wasn't as upset for showing up for Shaq's PhD thing. Because I definitely found or thought she was like a little bit more petty and that would be a problem for her. But she was like, I'm glad I could show up for you. I'm glad I could support you. And I felt like that's how she should have reacted. I mean, I would have been upset, so I'm not even going to, play her like I would be upset. But I kind of felt like that's how she should have reacted because she's so big on education. Like, girl, they gave you a guy working on getting his PhD. Like, I don't know how much more education someone could get, right? Like, maybe he could have 2 PhDs, but he got 1. So, that was good. Then they went ATVing, and Kirsten was like really adventurous. And I've noticed that like all the women are like, let's do this, let's do that, let's go here and go there. And all the men are like, well, are you sure? Is it safe? They seem very, very cautious. And I'm just surprised by that. Like, usually, because like it's the men who are like, let's go do this. And the women are like, let's lounge on a boat and drink mimosas. And so I actually kind of like that they have this little role reversal going on, because we see it with Dom and Mac. They're supposed to go on a sailboat. Dom's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Even when she thought it was just them two getting on the boat, she was like, yeah, we're going to do it. Whereas Mac was a little more apprehensive. He was like, wait a minute, like, I don't know how to sail. Like, I can't just, like, yeah, I know how to swim, but I can't just go into the middle of the ocean on this boat. And so when the guy came to help them out, Dom was like, oh yeah, you're coming with us? She's like, okay, that's great. But she was going to do that regardless. So I was, like I said, I love how bold and adventurous and exciting these girls are. So it's a little different, I think, to see, and I like it. So that's different. Clint and Gina, they were on a ride to nowhere. Like, I feel like they got on that bus for their tour and it was just chaos. they rode around, they got lost, they were standing on the side of the road. And I was just thinking, like, if this is indicative of how their relationship is going to go, not good. I mean, I want to say end it now, but I also, as a viewer, want to see the drama and I want to see it play out. Like, I'm going to love every second of that drama that I get to watch on this season. But like, I'm expecting it to be to be like that for the rest of the season. I feel like that was like just a little bit of foreshadowing that was unplanned that just happened to work out perfectly. Um, Also, Jasmine, and this is why I was surprised by her actions earlier, is Jasmine seems so nurturing, like very loving, very giving, very much like, oh, whatever my man wants, because Eris wanted some of her lobster and she fed it to him. Like, and again, I'm not saying that's not a normal thing that women do or can do, but she just seems like the type that's like, oh, whatever my dude wants. So to hear that she's the person leaving relationships, I'll be honest, again, it was shocking. Um, One thing I was wondering when I saw Chris and Nicole doing the tequila cake tasting was, do the couples get to choose their own like excursion, or is it selected for them so not all the couples are doing the same thing, right? Like, do they try to say, here's a list, pick your top ones, and then they randomly select who gets to do what? Because it didn't seem like neither Chris nor Nicole really wanted to do that tequila tasting. I'm not saying they didn't have a good time, but it initially didn't look like that was what they wanted to do. And Nicole talked about getting drunk made her feel like her old self. And let's be honest, like, she's like, oh, when I turned 28, I went on this journey to be better. And that's dope and everything. I love that for her. But everybody knows, like, 20s, you just act out because one, you got freedom and you might not know what to do with that. And if you get your first job and so now you're making money or decent money or good, even good money, it might be the first time you've lived like that. So sometimes you turn 21, 22, 23, 29, 30, and you just be acting out. You just be ready to hit the scene, go to every party, do everything that maybe you thought you missed growing up or whatever. So I resonate with Nicole in that. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But like I said, once again, another deep conversation for the two of them. And then they were getting drunk and Chris started dancing and, baby, that's not your thing. But I do commend him for doing it. And I don't know if he, just did it because, the alcohol was in him. But yeah, dancing isn't Chris's strong suit. But I love to see it. I love to see it. It's all, like I said, anything for my entertainment, right? I'm watching this. I'm trying to be entertained. We're trying to be entertained. So anything for my entertainment, I'm down. But yeah, so Shaq and Kirsten were talking, and Shaq was like, oh, I still get butterflies when I look at you. He's talking about how beautiful he thinks she is. And I could tell, like, looking at her face while he was talking, she felt a little awkward because she didn't feel that back, like she doesn't feel like he's so handsome and just someone that she's in awe of. So I think that was a little awkward for her. And I think that's the reason why, as shocking as it is, she had to admit that she wasn't really that attracted to him. And like, the bald head is growing on her, but it wasn't something that she initially liked. And, I'm glad she told him because I feel like I said he's been making excuses for her not wanting to kiss or do stuff. And I also appreciate her honesty in that, but then also saying, like, I'm not much of a kisser. Like, some people are not. Like, I get it. I'm not saying that I'm not much of a kisser, but I get it. I get it. Sometimes PDA is uncomfortable, especially if the person's a stranger or you just met them. I mean, yes, there are instances where someone's so attractive, you make, exceptions. But I do think that one, she probably already doesn't like kissing and all that stuff. And then two, she doesn't really find him attractive. So it's even harder to get her to that point. But I think having that conversation, again, she even said it, she goes, a lot of wives say this, and I've actually heard this a lot from women that I know that are married. Sometimes they'd be like, well, I wasn't initially attracted to my husband, but we worked it out. And I think she's okay with that. And knowing that she's okay with that makes their relationship seem like she's gonna try, right? I also think that his personality is just fun. He seems like a fun person. Um, and so I think he's wearing her down. It's like, okay, I may not think he's cute, but he's doing things I like. He's saying things I like. He's funny. I find him to be interesting. So I think that's good for the two of them. Gina talks about her exes. She talks about she dates bums, people that see that she's doing well and be like, okay, well, good thing you're doing well, honey. Like, I'll stay home. And I hate that for her. I've never hated anything more for a person. Like, girl, leave these bums alone. And I think Clint might hopefully be the person for her that's like, working with her because he works too and he makes money. Eris, he asked Jasmine what her favorite sexual position is. And like, I don't know why he thought the pastor's child. I'm not saying that pastor's childs don't be freaks. They 100% do be freaks. Trust me. I've gone to church. I've gone to African Methodist church. I've gone to all types of churches. And when you talk to the pastor's kids, preacher's kids, they are the worst. But there is a standard that they have to maintain in public. She's like, oh, you're modest. You're this. She might be the freakiest girl you've ever met, but you're not going to know that when she's on camera recording. Like, I just feel like Jasmine was never going to say anything. And Eris might want her to be like that, but as a pastor's kid, she's never going to do that. But I believe she might be freaky. Like, who knows? Gina. She then has a conversation with Clint in which she tells him that he has gingery features and she's not usually attracted to gingery features. Now, in the after party, she claims like this conversation was a back and forth, but the cameras only showed her telling that to him. And I just don't think it's very... It's the same thing with Kirsten. Like, when you talk about features that people probably can't change, I'm not saying he can't dye his hair, but these are their natural features. It's kind of mean, right? Like, it's not really nice. Like, you may not like it. You may not like gingers. Trust me, I am a big ginger hater over here. But you don't say that to somebody because that's who they are. And I feel like the way Clint reacted, that's probably something that he hears a lot. Because I know in this world, a lot of people don't like gingers. Like, some people specifically seek out gingers, but some people specifically avoid gingers. So I think that was just mean on Gina's part. Like, maybe she didn't think it was mean. Maybe she felt because there was some back and forth, it wouldn't come off mean. But it came off mean to me. I mean, I was just like, girl, you can't tell somebody. It's like saying, I don't like your face. It doesn't mean you're not handsome, but I just don't like your face. Like, you can't say that, girl. But yeah. Oh, Dom and Mac. I told you I think Mac is boring. I still think he's boring. He was like trying to make jokes throughout this episode and none of them landed. And I'm glad that Dominique called him out. She was like, these jokes just aren't landing. Like, they're not good. And it's just, I don't know. He just seems like an awkward guy. And I still have yet to see his personality. His personality almost comes off as like, I want to be somebody that I thought of in my head. And so that's who I'm trying to be every time you see me and I'm talking and I'm interacting. But it's just, it doesn't seem genuine. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Also, Dom wore those shoes to that dinner and baby, 2015 is calling those heels back. They were not cute. The dress was cute. I like the dress. Very cute girl. But those heels, I don't know what it is. I feel like a lot of people like them. I'm just biased. This is not a fashion YouTube, but this is just my own personal opinion. Sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm not going to talk about nobody's clothes no more. That's it. That's the only one comment. I'm done. Nicole and Chris spoke later on at dinner. She was asking about him being in love with her and like her being the perfect girl. And she kept on doing this. And it's so funny because I think that's just a thing that millennial girls do. I don't know, maybe Gen Z does it, Gen X does it, but I know that this is a millennial girl thing. Like, I feel like I do it, my friends do it. I don't know why. It almost is supposed to be like, oh, I'm cute, but also like it's a cute thing. I don't know. But it's also annoying. And I know that. Um, but Chris was so sweet about it. He's like, not yet, but I can see it. It wasn't rude. It wasn't mean the way the previews made it kind of come off. But it was definitely honest. And like I said, once again, they went into another deep conversation about wanting kids. And I was surprised that Nicole was against kids. Like, not, she's still not against kids, she's still questioning it, but I'm surprised that she is, because somebody who wants to be married so bad, I'm not saying that to be married you have to have kids or whatever, but it seemed like that was the type of person that she was. And as it turns out, she's not, which is fine. But yeah, it's an honest question, something they have to figure out. Like I said, I don't know if production wants us to think that this is like the deepest couple, or they really just are, but I love their conversations that they're having. Also, I came into this comparing Shaq and Kirsten to Jasmina and Michael, and absolutely not. Absolutely not. They are so different, because when they got to that dinner table and Shaq complimented her and Jasmina, see, I was about to call her that, Kirsten complimented him right back, I was like, wow, she is actually like that girl. Like, she's not who I thought she was. I thought she was just gonna wait for him to come to her, dote on her, all that type of stuff. And she hasn't really been like that. She's been more so, you know, the girl that is complimentary. I also like that she talked about him talking to her in a natural way, because it wasn't till he responded to her in that conversation about being open and honest, and he said something that made me say, like, you're talking to her like she's a mentee, like someone you're teaching, like someone you're trying to, I don't know, build work relationship with. It doesn't seem like a natural lovers marriage type conversation. And that might just be how Shaq talks, right? That just might be who he is. But it doesn't seem natural. And if I'm like laughing and joking with you and we talking and everything seems like it has to be a lesson in life, it's like, we're married. Why does it have to be so serious? Like, I don't want everything to be that serious or that level of communication. I want us to be more natural, fun going, easygoing. And I love that she brings it up. Like, she's not afraid to bring up what she thinks. But she also mentioned that, or he mentioned, every conversation is about him. She's very closed off, doesn't want to talk about herself. And I hope that through this journey that she can change and talk more about herself so he can get to know her, right? She's getting to know him and it's making her like him more. I'm hoping that he can get to know her more and like her for more than just her looks. Okay, Eris and that last conversation him and Jasmine have, okay, he dropped a bomb. You're 39 years old and you have never been in love? All I saw was red flag, red flag, red flag. Like, sir, you're old. Like, not old really in life, but too old to have never been in love. Ever? Ever? No one ever got you to a point where like, wow, I love this person. Even if it was like at 20 or 21, right? When you don't know any better. And so you're just in love because you're in love. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was just really shocking to me. I was very shocked, I guess to say. You know, I'm, again, curious to see how the rest of the season plays out. I love MAFS for the drama. I don't expect too many couples to work out. But again, the journey, those 8 weeks journey that we get to watch is fun. I love it. And I hope you guys come on this journey with me. Watch my videos, like, subscribe, comment, share them. You know, I might have the similar thoughts as someone else, so just share it so we can all find out how we're feeling about this season. And I hope you guys join me next week when I review next week's episode. See ya.